All right, so let's go back to the War Scrolls. And again, welcome back to the Church of King David. I am your servant, Adapted on Harris. Let's begin to read below column 1. But before we get out of column 1, let's just recap some things. Because again, the sons of light are the 144,000 of the children of Israel. And they are going to do battle with the sons of darkness, the army of the devil, or Belial, because Belial is the devil. Now, if we go to the Catholic Encyclopedia here, it's going to tell us, let me blow this up for you. It's going to tell us that Belial is the name for Satan, or the personification of evil, as the prince of darkness is contrast with Christ, the light. Now remember that Christ is the light. So when it says here in the War Scrolls that we are the sons of light, that means that we are the sons of Christ. We are from Christ. We come through Christ. All right. And again, it says that Belial is the devil in Hebrew. And they're just going to keep telling you that. Wickedness, worthless fellows, right? It's going to say down here, what did it say it? Vile scoundrels. And then it's going to say, I thought it said something about sons of something. Demons. What did it say that? Oh, sons of Belial, right? Vile scoundrels. All right. So those are all of what the War Scroll is talking about. And those people are known as Edom, right? The white man, Chinese man, Moab, the Japanese man, the Amaleks, the Philistine, the troops of Kidon, Ashar, so on and so on. And then we also read how so many of our own people, those that violate the covenant, that become Christians and other things from our nation, are joined with them. So we read through all of this. So let me come down here and let's begin to point out some things. And it says that the annihilation of the sons of darkness. The annihilation of the sons of darkness and service to God during the war years. So you got to understand that there's a process in which Yahweh is going to begin to eliminate these other nations. And we're going to read about that. But before we do, let's start right here in verse 16 of column 1. And it says, the holy ones shall shine forth in support of, and they didn't tell us what that was, the truth for the annihilation of the sons of darkness. So remember, when we went to Psalms, let me pull that up. When we got into Psalms, I believe it's 82 or 83, where Asaph was saying that those that hate the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they have created churches to cut us off from being a people. And that's very important to recognize that in the War Scrolls and what it says in Psalms. So again, here it lists these people. So if you're following behind, and I'm just going to stick on these main 3 right here, the white man, Chinese man, and the Japanese man. Now there's other ones here, but these are the main 3, or I should say the main 4, because the other one is Ishmael, the Arab man. And all of them have created a religious system in order to deceive the children of Ahawa from knowing who they are. So let's go see if we can just pulled it up. This last time we were recording, the internet was straight bugging. So let's see what we get here. So we got it. All right. So this is Asaph again. All right. I'll read through this real quick because we're going to keep going over some of these same verses over and over because they apply to so many topics. Okay. And this is a high scripture right here. Psalms 83. You want to read it and you want to memorize it so you can connect the dots when you're reading other scriptures. All right, it says, keep not thou silent, O Ahawa, hold not thy peace, and be not silent, O Ahawa. For lo, thy enemy make a tumult, or thy enemy make a noise, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. DEI, crafty counsel, when in regards to DEI, was to begin to bring you in to their workforce in order to empower them to the point that they don't need you anymore, that they created technology and robotics in order to replace you. And now that they have gotten to that stage, right, they can just begin to lay all of you off because they don't need you anymore. So from the 1970s or from the 1955, when the civil rights movement began, all the way up until now, they were doing what? They knew it the whole time what they were doing. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. So why are you shocked to see that they want to lay people off from the government or from all of these great paying corporate jobs? Don't be surprised because this was written long before they did it. And if you were just going to church and ignoring all of the word of God, then that's your fault. You are a DEI spiritually. And those people should get rid of you because you were so dumb enough to empower them, to help them get to this point. Period. So they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation or from being a race. And we're going to read this in a minute, that this is how they really feel about you. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a race, that the name Israel may be no more in remembrance. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The Christian churches, Islam, Moab, these are the main three. All right. Now, I'm going to jump ahead of what I plan to do so that y'all can understand when it says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. Let me read something for you. For all of you people who are still going to remain in Christianity and in Islam, let me read to you. Before they even created Christianity or Islam, this is how these people felt about you. Remember this, right? Remember these words right here. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a race, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. What is Asaph talking about here? Well, I'm going to show you. Let's go to the book of Jubilees. And let's go right at the very beginning, and maybe I'll read the whole thing, but you'll catch it. All right, pay attention to what it says. Again, what we're looking for is when they said, come and let us cut them off from being a race. Let's see if you can pick it up in this. And this is the book of Jubilees, chapter 37. And I'm going to read it, verse 1. And it says, and on the day that Isaac, the father of Jacob and Esau, died, the sons of Esau heard that Isaac had given the portion of the elder to the younger son Jacob, and they were very angry. And they strove with their father, saying, Why has thy father given Jacob the portion of the elder and passed over thee? Although thou art the elder and Jacob the younger. And he said unto them, Because I sold my birthright to Jacob for a small mess of lentils. And let me say this, because you have to understand, when Esau sold his birthright, what he did was he gave because Esau is a white man. He gave the right to bear a YAHUSHA. And that's what he gave to Jacob, right? And that's why in the spirit, Rebekah moved to make sure that that didn't happen, because Esau was born first. He was born before Jacob. And so the birthright to have rights to Christ would have been his, but he sold it. He sold it for some lentils, a lentil soup. And that's in the King James. And he said unto them, Because I sold my birthright to Jacob for a mess of lentils. And on the day my father sent me to hunt and catch and bring him something that he should eat and bless me, he came with guile and brought my father food and drink, and my father blessed him and put me under his hand. Are y'all following it? And now our father has caused us to swear, me and him, that we shall not mutually devise evil, either against his brother, and that we should, and we shall continue in love and in peace, each with his brother, and not to make war, and not to make ways, and not to make our ways corrupt. And they said unto him, We shall not hearken unto thee to make peace with him. All right, y'all see what his hatred is beginning. For our strength is greater than his strength, and we are more powerful than he. We shall go against him and slay him and destroy him and his sons. Now let's go back to Psalms 83. They have said, Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name Israel may be no more in remembrance. For our strength is greater than his strength, and we are more powerful than he. We shall go against him and slay him and destroy him and his sons. And if thou wilt not go with us, we shall do hurt to thee also. So Esau's kids threatened him that if he didn't go to war against Jacob, then they were going to do him harm. All right. And so now listen, check it out. And now hearken unto us. Let us send Aram and Philistia and Moab and Ammon. Right. Do you see that? Do you see these names? Right. Again, let's go to Psalms. Right. So that's Edom speaking. And they were saying, let us go to who? Moab, Ammon, Amalek, and the Philistines. Right there. You see? So these people, every last one of them, would like nothing better than to see us disappear from the entire world. And I'm telling you, this DEI thing, don't underestimate their arrogance. They must believe that they have some type of way of doing away with us as a people, that they take that birthright back and God has to deal with them. That's in the scriptures. Let me see if I can find it for you. So this is serious. What we're trying to teach you, this is serious. So what you're seeing playing out, don't be amazed that these people are doing it. That's your fault, that you went into their churches, that you went, that they rocked you to sleep. They kept giving you lullabies. Like I told you, stop singing songs and get into the education of who you are and come back to your heritage so you know what team you're on. It's a shame that so many of us, seeing what's happening, will not come back and play for your team, at least cheer for your team. I mean, what does it say here? That these are the people of the devil. Edom, Moab, the sons of Ammon. That this is who they support. 100%. So while that's pulling up, let me just bring this back out again. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Right before that, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. Let's go back to what Esau's children is saying. It says, and now hearken unto us. Let us send Aram and Philistia and Moab and Ammon, and let us choose for ourselves chosen men who are ardent for battle, and let us go against him and do battle with him, and let us what? Exterminate him from the earth before he grows strong. What did they say back then? Let us exterminate him. So y'all not moving fast enough. Every single black church should be empty coming this Sunday. It should be totally empty. There should be nothing but a falling away from their crafty counsel. Now, let me see if I can find this in the King James and maybe saving some of you. Let me see if I can find it. Be patient with me. Be patient with your monarch. Be patient. Because this is a fight that we're fighting. This is a intellectual fight, which means a spiritual fight. But nonetheless, it's a fight. It's a battle because it's going to play out in the flesh here in a minute. Let me see what I'm looking for. Be patient. Be patient. Right here, Jeremiah 31:36. I want you to pay attention to everything that's happening. Like I said, they would not pull a move like this unless they had something hidden from view that they're just going to unleash to try to do away with us as a nation, as the scripture has said. I cannot say this enough. Now listen to this. I read here, thus saith Yahweh, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and the stars for light by night, which divideth the sea, when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. Now listen, if those ordinances depart from before me, saith Yahweh, then the sea of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Forever. Thus saith Yahweh, if the heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cut off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith Yahweh. You see, the white man, I would say it like this. The white man understands this. But how come you sorry behind black men, you don't understand this? Confessing to have the Holy Spirit and everything else, confessing that God chose you to stand before any congregation. And you didn't know that you were underneath the threat of death. And did the white man? Is he trying to do what they said right here in Jubilees, chapter 37, verse 6? Let me read this again. And they said, and let us go against him and do battle with him. Let us exterminate black folks from the earth before he grows strong. Let's go back to Revelation. Let's go back to Revelation. So all of you sorry behind pastors, you don't get underneath the order of the Church of King David and begin to teach to your congregation outside of Christianity and offer them to come back to their heritage, we are going to cast you into the lake of fire. That's what's going to happen, because this is serious. These people are trying to exterminate you. That's why they didn't ever want you to believe that you were the children of Israel. First and foremost, they hid that from you. They took that away from you. I mean, don't you find it ironic that they wanted you to be Christians after enslaving you? While enslaving you, they wanted you to be Christian. Now, isn't that strange? That's like a fox trying to promise to a hen that he's not going to kill it. But you believed it. Why? Because of their crafty counsel. They deceived you into position. And now, because of AI and the rest of the technology, they don't need you. They don't need you, black folks. You are the greatest DEI hires in the history of the world. And some of y'all couldn't even get that right. Dare you to get mad with me. I'm going to say what Solomon said, to hate me is to love death. That's how confident I am in what I'm trying to teach you and preach to you. Now let's stay focused here. Now, what does it say here? It says, let us go against him and do battle with him. Let us exterminate him from the earth before he grows strong. Well, where did we hear that else? All right. And it says, let me start at the top. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Now we'll say that this is the building Zion, but this is also the Holy Ghost. She has a crown of 12 stars, and that is because she only represents the nation of Israel. She only goes to a child of a descendant of Jacob. It doesn't go to anyone else. How can she when they are following behind the devil? Right? And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. She doesn't wear the crown of Christianity. She doesn't wear the crown of Islam. And she, being with child, travailing in birth, pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was already to be delivered, or to devour her child as soon as it was born. So if they did this in the celestial world, what makes you think they wouldn't do it down here in the physical world? Because didn't King Solomon, who is the son of God, by our testimony, did he not say there's nothing new underneath the sun? These people are loopers. And so when they are in control, everything loops. It just goes back around like the seasons. It goes back around. It goes back around. Right? And so this is another way or to devour her child as soon as it's born is to say what it says here. Let us exterminate him from the earth before he grows strong. Now pay attention. This is a repeat. So what the white people were saying back then, they were saying it because of what their spirit did in the spirit world, right? Because what they say here, they need to do it before he grows strong. Why? Because this child, right, that the Holy Ghost brings forth, she brought forth a man child. See, this ain't gonna be no little baby, right? We spiritually are not born like a carnal baby. We are born full of age, full of wisdom, who was to rule all races. Let me repeat that again. Who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. So let me put this in perspective. YAHUSHA is our biological father. And if he has rulership over them, then you need to understand why he is also going to give us that rod of iron to rule over them on his behalf and to put us into office. The 144,000 or the elected officials of his government are us, are his children. Are his children. Don't you know that it says that in the scriptures that we are not to behave like them? Right? That we don't set up a management in the way that they do, and that the king is not going to hold his child to pay tribute to him like he would a stranger. So we are free. That's what it means, that we are set free, if you can understand what I'm saying. Right? And so this is what they were saying back then. Before he grows strong. Do y'all see it? Why? Why did they need to destroy us before we grew strong? Now, well, because let me finish that thought, because I'm so excited about this, because we are to rule them with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Yahweh, into his throne. This is not talking about YAHUSHA. This is talking about first and foremost King David, and then the rest of the elect, because the covenant of kings is with King David, as Solomon himself, YAHUSHA himself, wrote. Okay? Now, let me just make sure that you understand how all of this connects, right? They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a race that the name Israel may be no more in remembrance. When we went to Jeremiah chapter 31, and we read in verse 37. Let me read this again so make sure you understand. All of you heads of the household, that you understand what your responsibility is. Because see, white people and Chinese people and the rest of them that are listed there, they have sent probes out into space. I mean, hell, Donald Trump just announced that they intend to put to colonize Mars. And these people will stop at nothing in order to do that. They plan to move the moon, the star, or something out of the way. And if it wasn't possible for them to do, Howard would not have said it. Because if they did have enough time to achieve changing the ordinances before Ahava, then he will do what? He will cut off black people for all that they have done. Now, what is the greatest thing that black people have done? We got white people to kill Christ. That's the greatest crime that we have committed as black people. When you realize that black people are the Jews in the Bible. And so how is going to make us pay for Christ to go upon the cross if white people achieve changing the ordinances before Ahava? Then will he cut off the seed of Israel, right? He himself is going to do it. Then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being erased before me forever. So we don't get a YAHUSHA a second time to die upon the cross. But see, since he died upon the cross, we've been lunching. We've been out to lunch. All of us DEI hires have been out to lunch. And the fact that what I'm saying in this video and all of my videos, if your pastor has not mentioned nothing from any of this, then he's a DEI hire. Fire him. Like I said, every black Christian church should, or black and Latino Christian church should be empty come Sunday. And y'all should begin to focus on that if they achieve changing the ordinances before the Most High, then you're done as a people. But let's continue. Let's go back here. Let me read this again. And it says, and now hearken unto us, let us send to Aram and Philistia and Moab and Ammon, and let us choose for ourselves men who are ardent for battle, and let us go against him and do battle with him, and let us exterminate him from the earth before he grows strong. Now, white people, all of you who just heard Donald Trump say that they want to colonize Mars and do all these other great space things, right? Well, how do we know that they fail? Because of what's written in the war scrolls. What it says here. And it says, and the banners of the infantry caused their heart to melt. Then the strength of God will strengthen the hearts of the sons of light. Again, what does it say here? Before he grows strong. And that's what I was about to get. Let me grab this verse. It just came back to me. Wanted to look this up. But this is how you know that they're going to fail. Elon Musk, Donald Trump is going to fail. They're going to fail so bad. It's not going to look like that on the way up that ladder. But when they get to the top of that ladder, they just going to fall. And this is how we know. Because it says, in the seventh lot, the great hand of God shall overcome Belial and all the angels of his dominion, and all the men of his forces shall be destroyed forever. So they're not going to achieve any of this, but they making sure that they're going to try to do it. This has been in their plan to exterminate us from the earth before he grows strong. And let's go here. What Howard told Rebecca. And those of you that read the Bible, you already know in your mind what that verse says. But for those of you that do not, let me read it for you. So when it says, let him, before he grows strong, right? Because the Howard told Rebecca this very thing right here. All right, so let's wait till it pulls up. So what did Howard tell our great grandmother? He told her, well, let me go up to verse 22. All right, let's go to verse 22. And it says, and the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Ahawah. And Ahawah said unto her, 2 races are in thy womb, 2 different people. And 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. The one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So this is what they're talking about here. This is what the white folks are talking about here, right? Let us exterminate him from the earth before he grows strong. Isn't that what happened in Egypt? Right now that they see that black people are coming back to their heritage, these nations are becoming afraid because all of what's written, all of this power has to also come back with it. And they know that Ahawah is jealous over his people. And so they're going to have to pay for what they've done. And so they nutting up all over the place. So if I was y'all, I wouldn't trust anybody. Come out of it. So let me continue. And their father said unto them, do not go and do not make war with him, lest ye fall before him. So Esau knew that you don't mess with Jacob. You don't mess with Israel. Because Israel is King David. And remember, Ahawah said that he would beat down David's foes before David's face. And so Esau knew that. And they said unto him, this too is exactly thy mode of action from thy youth until this day, and thou art putting thy neck under his yoke. We shall not hearken to these words. And they sent Aram and to, have you said it, Adoram, to the friend of their father, and they hired along with them 1,000 fighting men, chosen men of war. And there came to them from China and from the children of Japan, right, from Moab and Ammon, those who were hired, 1,000 chosen men. Didn't Putin just do that with North Korea? Didn't he just go over there and hire about 3,000 of them to fight against you know who? Yes, they're doing the same thing they did back then. There's nothing new underneath the sun. Why do you think you see people repeating? If people are repeating, then things repeat, right? There's nothing new underneath the sun, right? And from Philistia, 1,000 chosen men of war, and from Edom, and from the Horites, 1,000 chosen fighting men, and from Kittim, mighty men of war. So they were going to really do this thing against us as a people. And they said unto their father, go forth with them and lead them, else we slay thee. And he was filled with wrath and indignation on seeing that his sons were forcing him to go before them to lead them against Jacob his brother. But afterward, he remembered all the evil which he laid hidden in his heart against Jacob his brother. And he remembered not the oath which he had sworn to his father and to his mother, that he would devise no evil all his days against Jacob his brother. And notwithstanding all this, Jacob knew not that they were coming against him to battle. And he was murmuring or mourning for Leah, his wife. He was mourning for Leah, his wife. It seems like certain things don't change. Like Solomon said, that's for y'all to recognize who King David is, because he was married to Leah, his wife. And what happened? She died. Until they approached very near to the tower with 4,000 warriors and chosen men of war. And the men of Hebron sent to him, saying, behold, thy brother has come against thee to fight thee with 4,000 girt with swords, O sword. And they carried shields and weapons, but they loved Jacob more than Esau. So they told him, for Jacob was more liberal and merciful man than Esau. But Jacob would not believe until they came very near to the tower. And he closed the gates of the tower. And he stood on the battlements and spake to his brother Esau and said, noble is the comfort wherewith thou hast come to comfort me for my wife who has died. Is this the oath that thou hast? Is this the oath that thou didst swear to thy father and again to thy mother before they died? Thou hast broken the oath, and on the moment that thou didst swear to thy father, wasn't thou condemned? Right. So David is saying that Esau lied in his heart. He knew in his spirit that he was going to try to kill him. And so on the day that he made that oath, King David is saying that Esau screwed himself. If you understand that. All right, so then it goes on to say, and then Esau answered and said unto him, neither the children of men nor beasts of the earth have any oath of righteousness, which in swearing they have sworn an oath valid forever. But every day they devise evil one against another, and how each may slay his adversary and foe. And thou do hate me and my children forever. And there is no observing the tie of brotherhood with thee. right? So all of you black people who want to act like we can all get along, that's not going to happen. You can forget it. We won't be saying, can we all get along? Because everybody knows, they know, and we know in our spirit what we both want. We want a world of peace, and we know we can't have it as long as these people are hating us. Like I said, what they're doing with the DEI thing is crazy. It's insane. That's an act of hatred to treat people the way that they just issued out that so-called buyout. All right, so let's continue. Hear these words which I declare unto thee. If the boar can change its skin and make its bristles as soft as wool, or if it can cause horns to sprout forth on its head like the horns of a stag or of a sheep, then will I observe the tie of brotherhood with thee. And if the breasts separate themselves from their mother, for thou hast not been a brother to me. You see, this line is so real because I know this, right? Right? I know how this mindset works, right? And so Esau goes on to say, if the wolves make peace with the lambs so as not to devour or do them violence, and if their hearts are towards them for good, then there shall be peace in my heart towards thee. If the lion becomes the friend of the ox, makes peace with him, and if he is bound under one yoke with him and plows with him, then will I make peace with thee. And when the ravens become white as Raza, then know that I love thee and shall make peace with thee. Thou shalt be rooted out. Thou shalt be rooted out. This is what Esau is saying to Jacob, that we come here to exterminate you, and thy sons shall be rooted out. Let's go back to Psalms 83. What does it say? Again, let me remind you, my people, my citizens, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a race, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So Esau is telling him, and when the ravens become white as, and when the raven becomes white as the Raza, then know that I have loved thee and shall make peace with thee. Thou shalt be rooted out, and thy sons shall be rooted out, and there shall be no peace for thee. So this is their mindset towards you. And when Jacob saw that he was so evilly disposed towards him with his heart and with all his soul, as to slay him. Now I've experienced that here recently. As to slay him, and that he had come springing like a wild boar, which comes upon the spear that pierces and kills it, and recoils not from it. Then he spake to his own and to his servants, that they should attack him and all his companions. So King David gave the order. All right, go ahead and do battle now. And let's go to the next chapter. 38. So this is why it's really a shame when you don't have black men willing to stand up in this spiritual war and read the scriptures, study to show themselves approved. It should be an honor to come back and say to your monarch that I have studied this and this is what I want to share with you. No, they don't want to do it because they are stuck in that DEI mindset. We don't want a DEI hire around us at all. We don't want no monarch as a DEI hire. Every monarch must earn his crown. Every last one of you. And it's time that you start taking it serious because these people are now in termination mode. All right, so let me read this real quick and then we'll move on. And then it says, and after that Judah spake to Jacob, his father, and said unto him, bend thy bow, father, and send forth thy arrow, and cast down the adversary, and slay the enemy. And mayest thou have the power, for we shall not slay thy brother, for we shall not slay thy brother, for he as such as thou. So you see our attitude. We was willing to deal with all of those other people, but we was trying to let the white man live. This is what Judah is saying, because they are supposed to be like us, but they have broken that brotherly covenant. They have thrown it away. That's not our fault. And he is like thee. Let us give him this honor. But this is how we really think. We're not here to wipe away the white man from the face of the planet. The white man is doing that to himself because he gets arrogant in his spirit that he will do things like they trying to pull now. You brought the Latinos over here to work in your field for a little bit of nothing. Now that you created robots and so forth, technology that can do it instead of them doing it, now you want to send them back to their country. Now you want to get them out of here because you used them. What does it say in James? Even you Latino people, you got to wake up, man. Y'all got to wake up. And first, find David and gather yourselves underneath King David, because in David is the covenant of the kings. That's not a covenant that's given to a YAHUSHA or the person that y'all call Jesus Christ. Like it or not, David is given the covenant of kings according to Christ. So if you don't believe Christ, that David has the covenant, then you don't believe Christ. Try to make that make sense. That's why you keep running around in circles, because you haven't been properly trained and you haven't been properly taught your history. How can you know what is going on in present day if you don't know where you came from? All of this came from. Let me read that again. He is like thee, like unto us, right? So it's not us that's trying to do away with these people. It's them. It's them. They're doing it to themselves. All right, so let me continue reading. Then Jacob bent his bow and sent forth the arrow and struck Esau, his brother, and on his right breast, and slew him. And again, he sent forth an arrow and struck Adoran, the Armenian, and on the left breast, and drove him back and slew him. And then went forth the sons of Jacob, they and their servants, dividing themselves into companies on the four sides of the tower. And Judah went forth in front, and Naphtali and Gad went with him, and 50 servants with him on the south side of the tower. And they slew all they found before them, and not one individual of them escaped. Levi, Dan, and Asher went forth on the east side of the tower, and 50 men with them, and they slew the fighting men of China and Japan. And Reuben and Issachar and Zebulun went forth on the north side of the tower, and 50 men went with them. They slew the fighting men of the Philistines. And Simeon and Benjamin and Enoch, Reuben's son, went forth on the west side of the tower, and 50 men with them. And they slew of Edom and of the Horites 400 men, stout warriors, and 600 fled, and 4 of the sons of Esau with them, and left their father slain. This is how they treated their father. Left their father slain, as he had fallen on the hill, which is in Adoran. And the sons of Jacob pursued after them to the mount of Seir. And Jacob buried his brother on the hill, which is in Adoram, and returned to his house. And the sons of Jacob pressed hard upon the sons of Esau in Mount Seir. Now let's go here. So to give you some understanding. You see, whatever they devised on us is going to turn back against them. So it's going to boomerang right back around and go right back to them. So I want you to notice that the sons of Jacob chased, the sons of Esau in the mountains of Seir. So what does it say in Obadiah? So Seir today is what you call Petra, right? Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Oh. You see how this is in the cliff of the rock, right? This is Mount Seir. This is what the sons of Jacob chased them back into, right into the side of this so-called mountain, this rock. As y'all can see the photos there. You see that? And what does that look like? Doesn't that look like the White House, the Wall Street, Greece, right? Doesn't that look like that? This is how you know these people, by the way that they do their architecture. You see, doesn't that look like the White House? Right? Rome, right? The Romans. And so that's what they chased them back into. And let's go to the book of Obadiah. All right, so this is that rock. And it says, the pride of thy heart has deceived thee, thou that dwelleth in the cliffs of the rock, in the cliffs of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Let's take a look at this. Let's look at Petra. Look at the size of the people there, whose habitation is high, the skyscraper, right? In ancient times, right? Look at the size of this place compared to a human being. Doesn't compare. Look at the people. They look like ants compared to this place. And this is just the front of it, right? That's just the front. And so the scriptures have never been lying. It says, that part of thy heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, right? What is their symbol? And what is the symbol of America? What is it? You can add others, but the American symbol suggested to focus on our U.S. flag, the Statue of Liberty, which True Stories has been telling you is the statue of Satan, and the bald eagle, right? The bald eagle is their symbol. So what did Obadiah say? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. And so that's their symbol right here. What is it? That's the eagle. See? The seal, the great seal of the United States, the front and the back. And though thou set thy nest among the stars, the space station desires to go to Mars, to the moon, to colonize the moon, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. So they right on course to do what Yahweh really wants to do. Once they set out to do these things, Yahweh is going to bring them down. All right, so let me go back here. And bowed their necks so that they became servants of the sons of Jacob. And they sent their father to inquire whether they should make peace with them or slay them. And Jacob sent word to his sons that they should make peace, and they made peace with them, and placed the yoke of servitude upon them. And they paid tribute to Jacob and to his sons always, and continued to pay tribute to Jacob until the day that he went down into Egypt. And the sons of Edom have not got quite of the yoke of servitude which the 12 sons of Jacob had imposed on them until this day. And these are the kings that reigned in Edom before there reigned any king over the children of Israel until this day in the land of Edom. All right, so now I want to jump down and back into the war scrolls. Because it's going to tell you how they're going to take over these other nations. And I'll read here from the second column, and it says, The congregation clans, 52. They shall rank the chiefs of the priests after the chief priest and his deputy. 12 chief priests to serve in regular offering before God. The chief of the courses, 26, shall serve in their courses. After them, the chief priest of the Levites serve continually. 12 in all, one to a tribe. The chiefs of their courses shall serve each man in his office. The chiefs of the tribes and fathers of the congregation shall support them, taking their stand continually at the gates of the secretary. Bear with me 1 second. So then it says, the chief of their courses now they want to start messing with it, right? The chief of their courses from the age of 50 upwards. So you have to be 50 years old to be a chief. Shall take their stand with their commissioners on their festivals, new moons, and Sabbath, and on every day of the year. These shall take their stand at the burnt offering and sacrifices to arrange the sweet-smelling incense according to the will of God, to atone for all his congregation, and to satisfy themselves before him continually at the table of glory. All of these they shall arrange at the time of the year of remission, during the remaining 33 years of the war. The men of renown, those called of the congregation, and all the heads of the congregation's clans shall choose for themselves men of war for all the lands of the nations. From all tribes of Israel shall they prepare capable men for themselves to go out for battle according to the summons of the year, year by year. But during the years of remission, they shall not ready men to go out for battle, for it is a Sabbath rest for Israel. During the 35 years of service, the war shall be waged. For 6 years, the whole congregation shall wage it together. Do y'all hear this? And a war of divisions shall be waged during the 29 remaining years. In the first year, they shall fight against Mesopotamia, and in the second, against the sons of Lud, and in the third, they shall fight against the rest of the sons of Aram, of Uz, of Hol, of Tugal, of Misha, who are beyond the Euphrates. In the fourth and fifth, they shall fight against the sons of Arpas, however you say this. And in the sixth and in the seventh, they shall fight against all the sons of Assyria and Persia and the Easterners up to the great desert. And in the 8th year, they shall fight against the sons of Elam. And in the 9th year, they shall fight against the sons of Ishmael. Right? And however you say this name. And during the following 10th years, the war shall be divided against the sons of Ham. Ham is Africans, according to their clans and their territories. During the remaining 10 years, the war shall be divided against the sons of Japheth according to their territories. So each year, when the Messiah gets back, we are fighting a country every year until we go through every last one of them. And so with that, I'm going to close this video out, and we'll come back and we'll get more into it. We'll go back into Egypt, we'll whatever the Most High want us to do. But I'm telling you, you guys got to understand what's at stake. You got to understand what just was activated. Let me go here. I wanted to go to here. I'm going to close with this James, because what the Trump administration just issue out is a fulfillment of prophecy. That they, what does it say? That they have taken crafty counsel against us. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. So they tricked you, just like with the Black Panther Party. They went down one day to protest, and then they gave them all jobs. Isn't that ironic? And that's how they pretty much disband the Black Panther Party, by giving them jobs. And so this was, they had taken crafty counsel against us. And so what does it say here in James? And so you got to understand where things are now. You got to understand, you know, what's really at stake. And like I said, it doesn't seem like my words are going to carry weight now because we're not in our kingdom. But once we get closer to our kingdom, you're going to remember what I said, that we are going to hold you accountable because you turned so many congregations into spiritual DEI believers in the Son of God, even if you were calling him Jesus Christ. And what does it say here in James? Tell me that this is not happening. It says, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. What are those miseries? That they got to pay for what they did. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver are cankered, and the rest of them shall be a witness against you, and ye shall eat your flesh as if it were fire. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of laborers who have reaped down your fields, right? All of you DEI hires, you went to work for these people, but you didn't understand that they have taken crafty counsel against you. You were working to put yourself out of work. That's all they did, right? That's all they did. Behold, the hire of laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. Right? They've been paying you with worthless money. Crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of Elohim of Sabbath oath. You see? You see how all of this goes together, man. And so this has already begun. The end has begun. And like I said, even though Yahweh is going to step in, he's not going to step in before we feel the pain. So y'all better get ready. Because here real soon, a lot of you are going to be praying and crying to God to help you. Because these people don't need you anymore. And I heard a guy say, let me see if I can get it. I heard a guy say, I was watching a video of Full Spectrum. And he said something that was dead on. If they are already now taking the migrants and putting them in basically concentration camps, what's going to stop them from doing it to everybody else? Think about it. And so all of you pastors that have taken that money, you have taken tithes, you need to sell everything you got and give it back to the congregations today, because you have rendered the sheep worthless. You allowed the wolves to attack God's sheep. That's what you did. You weren't acting like a shepherd and protecting the sheep. You were just spitting out some scriptures and taking their money and living deliciously, living boldly. But every congregation should request for their money back, because all of these pastors and co-pastors and evangelists that have been taking money from you have just allowed the wolves into the fold.